Welcome to the City Council briefing session. Ms. Pfister, would you please call the roll?
Council President Beggs.
Here.
Councilmember Bingle.
Here.
Councilmember Cathcart.
Present.
Councilmember Kinnear.
Present.
Councilmember Stratton.
Here.
Councilmember Wilkerson.
Present.
Councilmember Zappone.
Here.
Let the record reflect that all council members are present.
All right. We have a very complicated agenda, so just bear with us because we briefed some of it 2 weeks ago, and some of it's new, and there's a lot of requests for, there'll be a request to suspend the rules for lots of agenda changes. There's some requests to defer things for more conversation, so we'll do that, but we're going to try to get through the briefing first, including items that have not yet officially been put on the agenda, and then we'll come back and do that, just to try to keep some order, at least in my brain, to it. Whether it works for you, you can give me feedback. But so I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Perkins to do the first 8 items on the consent agenda.
Thank you, Council President, members of the City Council. Good afternoon. Johnny Perkins, City Administrator. The first agenda on the briefing agenda for Monday, June 27, consent agenda, is a briefing on the purchase of Lee Brandt branded uninterruptible power supply replacement at the Combined Communications Building. Our presenter is Fire Chief Brian Schaefer.
Good afternoon, Council. Brian Schaefer, Fire Chief. This briefing relates specifically to the purchase of an uninterrupted power supply for installation in 2023. Apparently, it takes 7 to 9 months lead time to actually arrive in Spokane. So this brief or this request is for the product only, as explained in the agenda item, and then the personnel and engineering will be coming within the next couple months. Any questions? Thanks.
Chief, do you want to stay for item 5, please?
Sure.
Item 5 is a contract with Spokane Emergency Physicians to provide medical advisory services. Fire Chief Brian Schaefer.
Again, this is a mandatory position within our organization to certify and license our paramedics, our emergency medical system, and provide quality assurance and physician services to the emergency medical system throughout Spokane. This is an agreement that identifies Joel Edminster as the fire department's physician and the company that he works for, and places them in our organization from 2022 to 2027. No questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Item 2 on the consent agenda is a contract with Concourse Financial Group, parent company for time value investment for non-discretionary investment services. Briefer is our City Chief Financial Officer, Tanya Wallace.
Thank you, City Council members. I am going to ask that you suspend this momentarily. The position for the Deputy Treasurer just closed last week. It is going to take several more months to get somebody into that position. So I will bring something forward to you at a more appropriate time when an evaluation has been completed.
So is your request for us to table it indefinitely?
Yes, please.
Okay. Is there a motion to do
So
that?
moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? Okay, that is deferred indefinitely, and we'll look forward to hearing back.
Item 3, acceptance of additional consolidated homeless grant funds from the Washington State Office of Family and Adult Homelessness. Our presenter is Jen Saracides.
We can come back to that. Someone wants to look for Jen?
Item 4, low bid of La Riviera Incorporated for Corcoran Basin Stormwater Treatment Facility, Downriver Disc Golf Course, and our briefer is Dan Buller.
Good afternoon. Item 4 is Cochrane Basin Stormwater Treatment, which is blank on your agenda, but for which we have open bids this past Tuesday, and La Riviera of Rathdrum, Idaho is the low bidder at $3.39 million, to which we propose to set aside a 10% administrative reserve. This project is one of 5 projects that make up Cochrane Basin Stormwater Project, one of which was constructed last summer, one of which is underway now. This one, the treatment swales, which we expect to begin early this fall. TJ Menock, which we will open bids for this week. And then there's one more coming later this fall. Both TJ Menock and that other one will be constructed in 23. The Riviera's bid was one of three and was approximately $730,000, or about 18% below the engineer's estimate. This project is funded approximately 7% by a DOE grant and about 30% with a DOE loan.
Thank you, Mr. Buller. The next item is item 6, consultant agreement with Alliant Insurance Services for employee benefit broker and consultant services. Our briefer is not only our assistant city attorney, but our interim human resources director, Mike Piccolo.
I will take one hat off and put the other hat on. So this is a contract with Alliant Insurance Services. They are our current provider. This went out to an RFP this past spring. We went up to 41 different providers, and we got 3 responses, and Alliant was determined to be the best provider for our services. This is a 3-year contract for $405,000 for the full 3 years, $135,000 a year, and we have 2 1-year extension periods we can add on top of it. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Piccolo. Item 7, report of the mayor of pending claims and payments of previously approved obligations, including those of Parks and Library. 7A, 7B, claims and payments of previously approved obligations, including those of Parks and Library, by the respective boards, warrants excluding Parks and Library. 7C, payroll claims of previously approved obligations. And item 8, City Council meeting minutes, June 9, June 13, and June 23rd.
All right, and then now we skip ahead to
Item 18.
page 8, item 18 with various subparts.
Item 18, relating to multifamily housing property tax exemption conditional agreements with the following: 18A, Idaho LLC; 18B, North Hill Millennium LLC; 18C, 3027 East Upriver LLC; and items 18D and E, Spectrum Development Solutions LLC. Our briefer is Terry Stripes.
Council members, Council President, thank you very much. I apologize. It was not my intent to mess up my agenda requests. The 2 holidays threw me for a loop. So let me make certain I can share my screen. And quickly run you through the multifamily tax exemption. Thank you. You actually have before you 5 conditional contracts for multifamily tax exemption. So I want to take you through them a little bit. Of course, we've been through the criteria before. Why do we do this? Where do we do it? These contracts that we're going to look at, you have 2 for Iron Bridge. Iron Bridge has a Phase 1 and a Phase 2. Phase 1, they're talking about 168 units in one building. Phase 2 will be an additional 100 units. They'll follow each other, but they'll still be connected as similar projects. Now, this property is zoned light industrial, and with its proximity to the river, multifamily housing is allowed. It is in Chief Gary neighborhood. Once it is constructed, this applicant does intend to apply for a 12-year final exemption once they're done, which will bring in the affordable rent and income restrictions, and they're intending that on both phases. This is what the site looks like today. The other project is Upriver Drive. You're going to be seeing 24 units in one building. This is zoned residential multifamily, outright allowed for multifamily. Construction costs are going to be approximately $3 million. It is in the Minnehaha neighborhood. Once constructed, this applicant also intends to file for the 12-year exemption, which requires the income and rent restrictions. And I'll say now that the other 3 that are coming up also do, so I won't repeat that statement. This property does have houses on it, and the houses are occupied, at least one of them. And this applicant has to work with the property owners to help them find affordable housing for their income for the term of their current lease as well as an additional year. One of the things that we cannot do with multifamily tax exemption is displace tenants that are already in the area. Hatch Street is the next project. This is on the south side. This is one building, 16 units at 714 South Hatch. It is residential multifamily zoned. It is a $4.5 million project, East Central, and again, the 12-year exemption will be sought once they've completed construction. It is a vacant lot. Then North Hill Millennium, this is the Garland project that has gotten a lot of excitement behind it. This is going to be a 61-unit building. I'm told that they're leaning towards mixed use at this point, but of course, this is before we take out any building permits, so we don't know for certain. It is Zone Centers and Corridors Neighborhood Center. It is a $15 million project. It is in the North Hill neighborhood. And this project also has buildings on it that are occupied by residents. And so this applicant also needs to work with those tenants to help them find comparable housing that will be affordable to their income level for 1 year beyond their current lease. Now, this is this building that you can see here, brick. This is the Masonic Temple, and so everything between the Masonic Temple and Walton will be involved in this project. And that is the briefing on those conditional projects. And again, I apologize that I ended up sending it to you at the wrong time. If you would like me to be available for your 6 p.m. Legislative session, let me know. If you're good, I'm great too.
I think we're good, Terry. And
Thank
it didn't-
you.
It might have caused you distress, but I don't think it caused us any distress.
Well,
So,
thank you.
thanks for your work. I believe we already have briefed 36193, but just to note for people is that I think there's a potential motion to amend, a potential motion to defer, so we'll come back to that. But I'm not sure that we briefed 36231, which was the procurement of used vehicles.
Special budget ordinance, forfeitures and contributions fund, action arises for the need to procure additional undercover vehicles. Presenter is Major Mike McNabb.
Okay, good afternoon, Council President. You saw this SBO, Public Safety, I believe, in April, and we talked about this. And Council President, you had some questions about what the possibility would be to have an exchange program with a local car lot or to lease used vehicles. So we've been spending some time with Fleet investigating those options. Just to give you some background and recap, we want to buy 3 undercover vehicles. Fleet's telling us that they could range up to $40,000 a piece. Currently, we get $25,000 per year allotted to us out of the budget for our forfeiture funds to buy an undercover vehicle. $25,000 is insufficient to buy an undercover vehicle, considering if we want to buy a car at Fleet's recommendation of no more than 36,000 miles, and then we have the add-on of some very minor commissioning that has to occur depending on the vehicle's use. So we did lose 2 undercover vehicles late last year, early this year, at no fault of our own. One vehicle was rammed, the other one was T-boned in an intersection, just a typical accident. And So what we're asking is another $95,000 added into this budget line so we can buy 3 cars at $40,000 apiece. So to answer your question, Council President, we checked with Enterprise, Rick Giddings did, and found that we could purchase vehicles at 99.9, lease vehicles at 99.9% down, and then a small monthly fee. So I think that satisfied a lot of concerns as far as committing to future spending when it comes to forfeiture funds, is not having a continuous payment for a vehicle for several years. So in essence, we're buying the car even though we're leasing it. What this does allow is us to buy cars at wholesale prices, and that is a great benefit. And one problem, though, is a lot of their cars are very new that they're wanting to sell. They're only a couple years old, so they're out of our price range. So what we're asking is to have the flexibility to find the best solution, the most cost-efficient car we can, either through Enterprise or local car lots. What Rick has found, Mr. Giddings from Fleet has found, checking with local car lots, is their inventory is just flying off the lot, to use a quote. So I don't think they'd be very interested in doing some type of exchange program with us. We can barely get them to respond to a request for proposal for new vehicles, because why would they when people just buy them as fast as they can get them? So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Fleet did do a study checking local prices, and even though we're asking for the extra $95,000 and we're asking for the flexibility to purchase a vehicle up to $40,000, that doesn't mean we're going to go out there and purchase a vehicle, 3 vehicles for $40,000 a piece. We're going to find what suits our needs best and stay within that price range.
Quick question. Sounds like now is not the time to do the exchange program, but in terms, if I'm recalling last time we talked, you had a inventory of former undercover vehicles that you have that aren't usable, not because they're not mechanically usable, but they're just not. So I'm just wondering if now's a good time to also, I'm not saying in lieu of this, I support this, but to maybe sell them and get some more money for other vehicles.
So it's a great question, Council President. Where we're at on that is we have 3 spare vehicles, and the kind of enforcement these folks are engaged in, they often find themselves being rammed, like they lost a car last year. So 3 spare vehicles is a little concerning. We have 3 other special use vehicles which aren't suitable for day-to-day use. I don't want to go into the details of what those are used for. So we don't have a surplus right now, and part of that is because we added on the new task force, which added, I believe it was 6 new members to the special ops. So, and all these vehicles that we're going to replace, we're either going to auction them off or trade them in. Any other questions? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Major McNabb.
And Hannah Lee, I don't know how to close this down. So I'll try.
Perfect.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Major.
I think we're at 227, bottom of page 9. Oh, wait, no, that was already briefed.
226.
So Ms. Pfister is 227, 8, and 9, were those already briefed, it looks like? So we don't have
Correct.
to do that. So now we're down to Resolution 26.
All right. Resolutions and final reading ordinances. This resolution is updating the methodology for the distribution of investment earnings in Spokane Investment Pool. Again, our presenter is our Chief Financial Officer, Tanya Wallace.
Thank you, council members. This was a topic that we had discussed back in March about simplifying and standardizing the way we allocate interest earnings to all of our various funds. As of now, there are 2 different ways that we do this. And what we're suggesting is that we have one way of doing it that is consistent and standard across all of our funds. And it's very simply taking the interest that has been earned and allocating it on a proportionate basis. That's the essence of it. So if there are any questions, that would be our proposed resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya.
And, okay, let's see. Oh, Jen. Yeah, she's back on.
All right, we're going to go back to item 3 on the consent agenda. I see that Eric Finch is on the line. This is the acceptance of additional consolidated homeless grant funds. Mr. Finch.
Good afternoon, Council. I apologize for the delay. I had to be out of the office unexpectedly this afternoon. This grant award is one of the ongoing, I think, more cyclical grants for the department as it relates to both family and adult programs. Any questions on this?
Thank you, Eric.
All right, I think we're to the resolution appointing Mr. Hall. 57, Resolution 57.
It's a resolution approving the appointment of John Hall as the Director of the Neighborhood Housing and Human Services for the City of Spokane. Our presenter is Mr. Eric Finch.
And good afternoon again. I appreciate the opportunity to bring this before you. As you know, we went through, I think, a fairly exhaustive process in looking, for an NHHS director, both last year and this year, culminating in the candidacy of Mr. John Hall. He brings, an extensive, over 20 years worth of experience, especially in building housing programs in multiple municipal environments, some larger, some of the same size as ours. And brings, I think, some very needed expertise in that area to the city. So happy to answer any specific, other, questions that anyone on the council has, and certainly would recommend and ask for your support in his confirmation.
Councilmember Wilkerson.
If approved, what's the timeline that he would be before us?
Right now, the proposed starting date is July 11th.
Thank you.
All right. Not seeing any other questions?
Thank you, Eric.
So that first reading ordinance.
Thank you all.
Next up on the agenda for Monday, June 27, first reading ordinance, amending ordinance that vacated Mellon Avenue from the west to the west line of Hogan Street and up Perry Street from the south line. Our presenter is Mr. Eldon Brown.
Good afternoon, Council. We originally vacated this stretch of Perry Street, which is on the Iron Bridge campus, back in 1972, and we retained easements for both public and private utilities at that time. They now, since they're developing those parcels in there, would like us to release the easements we had back in 72. We did check with all the utility purveyors, city and all the private utility purveyors, and they're all in agreement to actually release the easement. So we're just here to amend that original ordinance to release those easements. Be happy to answer any questions.
All right. Not seeing any.
Thanks.
All right, now I'd like to invite up Administrator Perkins to give us a briefing on a special consideration, a lease agreement with Lawrence B. Stone Properties for the use of building at 4320 East Trent Avenue as a shelter space.
Thank you, Eldon. Thank you, Council President. I was going to figure out a way to introduce myself. Special considerations. City Administrator Johnny Perkins. Thank you, Mark. Again, Johnny Perkins, City Administrator, Council President, members of the City Council, honored to be here this afternoon to present the Trent lease before you again. As you recall, we were here in June during the Public Safety and Community Health meeting to provide some overview and background on the lease discussion. As it relates to the lease, just a reminder, 4320 East Trent Avenue, and really the use of the premises, which is on the next slide, is a shelter operation to protect our most vulnerable and homeless individuals and families and providing wraparound services and other services. As you may recall, during the Public Safety Community Health meeting on June 2nd, this council had 3 specific questions or inquiries as it relates to some of the items in the lease. And I've captured those 3 here because we've made some changes. Let me start with the top, management fee. I wanted to share with you a little bit about a management fee. There's multiple definitions and variations of what is a management fee in various commercial leases. In this case, the management fee here is going to be 2.5% of the monthly rent collected. So management fees are collected for services associated with accepting and processing rent payments, ensuring tenant pays the rents, ensuring property is inspected on a regular basis, it's maintained safely for those that are there, maintenance management, preventive maintenance, and anything to do with emergency maintenance calls. That's what goes into, generally speaking, a management fee. Typically, management fees run in the range from 7 to 10% of the rent that's collected. As you all recall, we started this discussion with Mr. Stone, the owner of the property. We were at 6%. We suggested 2, and we settled, as I would like to say any good negotiator would, at 4. We went back per your request and direction, and I'm happy to report we got a little bit closer to that 2 that we initially thought we would. So the management fee is now 2.5% as it's written in the agreement. That's the first change from when we were here back in June.
Can I ask a question on
yes.
that? Or do you want to wait till we're done?
Go ahead.
So on that, some of the information that I found on this, the management, the fee, is that that's usually done if it's a building with more than one tenant. I mean, this is one tenant, it's the city. What was the reasoning to have a management? I mean, you gave your rundown of what that's for, but it's the city, it's one tenant.
This is a standard operating management fee that this particular owner puts forward through all his properties, whether it's one tenant or multiple tenants. In case of multiple tenants, the management fee would be much higher, probably in that 7 to 10% range. So we're well below what that traditional management fee would be for this monthly request.
Council President, so that part about collecting the rent, then if there was some catastrophic event, then the property owner would be called. A water main breaks, that's not the provider's issue. That would be on the property manager to come to deal with that. So I just wanted clarity, a little bit more on if we should call, what that call would cover.
So the 2% is just on anything that would relate to their management of the property, whether it's making sure the rent's paid on time, processing it, any administrative fee. Anytime they would have to come out and take a look at something, we're responsible for the repairs and the maintenance. It's just really simply, I guess, what it says. It's a management fee that they're collecting as the manager and owner of the property. Yes, Councilmember Kinnear.
So my arithmetic says it'll be about $500 a month. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if they don't do anything for a year, they're collecting quite a bit.
Well, again, I want to bring your attention right back to that 7 or 10%. That is generally a standard, and I think the fact that we were at 6, went to 4, and at your behest, we went back.
I know.
And got close to that 2. I think 2.5 is pretty good, and I understand what you're saying, but I'd like to say the negotiating team did a really good job of getting it where it is today.
It just gives me a little heartburn. That's all.
I understand. And I neglected to introduce my terrific negotiating team. I'll do that very quickly. I have my Chief Financial Officer here, Tanya Wallace. Mr. Finch is on the line, who's our Interim Director of Neighborhood Housing and Human Services. From the City Attorney's Office, James Richmond, as well as Mike Ormsby. And by the way, Mr. Ormsby is here to answer any of the tough questions that come from this point going forward. And I appreciated their support. The next item, Section 14.05, this is one, there's a lot of conversation on if the lease was ended before the 5 years, what does that look like? During negotiations, the owner was pretty firm on the 12 months. I recall that we proposed 6, and in my discussions with Council President Beggs, he says, how about 6? I go, I'm right with you, sir. I actually had proposed that previously. We were able to go back and, again, try to get to that middle ground and get to 8 months. And so that's changed from when we were here in June, from 1 year to 8 months. And so that's where that is. And then finally, again, we took to heart what this council said when we were here in June, And a new Exhibit G in the document before you now provides an option for the tenant, potentially that being the city, the option to purchase the property should we desire to do that. And I've had some preliminary conversations with the owner, and they certainly would be willing to do that should the city be interested in that discussion and dialogue. And we have up to the first 6 months to make that decision. So we don't need to do that today or in the next 2 weeks, but within the next 6 months before the end of the year, thereabouts January, February, we would need to do that. So those were the significant changes from the previous lease. And then just a reminder on the next slide, going forward, a couple more forward, thank you. The minimum capacity there is 150, next slide, Mark, thank you. 150 to 250, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That monthly rent is at $26,100. That was a negotiated rent from the owner with our negotiating team. Security deposit of $26,100, that's standard, usually pay a month's rent for security deposit. The contract term is for 5 years, but we do have that option to terminate if we need to do so. The annual cost would be about $313,000, and then over the term it'd be about 1.6, 1.8 when you consider the escalators that will be involved. So that is a conclusion. I mainly wanted to cover the 3 changes that you all had asked about in June, and I wanted to highlight those, but certainly willing, as is my negotiating team, to answer any questions.
Councilmember Stratton.
So the Innovia contribution of the $250,000, I didn't see that in this one.
Yeah, so we took that out because the funds are coming from a joint private partnership with Mr. Stone. But the bottom line is the city of Spokane will not be paying for any of the tenant improvements that are going to be installed on the property. And those improvements have already begun. They're being paid by a private sector joint venture with Mr. Stone.
So is there any way, because if the city were doing any of this, we would pay prevailing wages. So how do we know if there's somebody else doing these improvements? Is there any way that we can insist that prevailing wages be paid?
I would like to defer to my lead attorney in negotiations, Mr. James Richmond.
Or at least have
Answer
some
that.
kind of proof that people are making prevailing wage on the work being done?
I don't have a great answer for that. This would be a private contract between parties that aren't subject to the requirement to pay prevailing wages, so I'm not sure how we could insert ourselves into that arrangement.
So if we approve this lease, then we need to be aware that that includes work being done on the building with possible workers not being paid prevailing wage. We don't know either way, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
The lease as it reads requires the landlord to install a long list of improvements, and it's my understanding that Innovia will be paying for part of that list. Part of it will be paid for by the landlord himself.
Okay, but we don't know about prevailing wages. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
But just follow up, not to you, James.
Thanks, James.
But the tenant improvements aren't including the bathrooms and that, because there's 2 lists of tenant improvements.
Correct.
There's
There's
the
a-
immediate ones
there-
and there's second.
Yes, sir, Council President. There's the immediate tenant improvements to the facility itself. Then there's a phase 2 that would be for restrooms and showers inside the facility. This phase does not include that. We're utilizing porta restrooms and showers outside as part of this initial phase 1, which again, the owner is paying, and it's not going to be through Innovia, it's through a different private arrangement that the property owner has arranged with a number of other private entities.
Councilmember Stratton.
And the city is still responsible for the sprinkler system and the HVAC system?
Yeah, just making sure, well, the property owner is going to be responsible that it's in good working order before we get there. We have a certain timeline to ensure that those things work. They're checking all those. Now, we would just be responsible for any maintenance that's needed on any of those things. And our fire marshal will make sure that the building is proper code to allow for individuals to be there on a 24/7 basis.
Okay.
Councilmember Kinnear.
So that's phase 1. When does phase 2 happen?
Phase two, I'm going to turn to Mr. Finch, since he's been managing that discussion and that part.
So on phase two, and I apologize, I'm remote, so I don't have a lot of my notes in front of me, but what we're looking at for phase two, which includes restrooms and some of the other things, is activation before winter sets in, so that'd be kind of like the October-ish timeframe. And we're currently in the process of gathering some estimates on those now that would be then added. Now, interestingly enough, there's a couple of different ways that we might be able to source the funding for that, to include even the right-of-way initiative, just depending on any number of things. So first, we're getting the estimates of cost, and then we'll have some I think, different suggestions or recommendations as it relates to the source of the cost and how to pay for it.
And then one more.
Continue.
So we don't have a provider.
We
I know we're talking about the lease, but we're talking about tenant improvements. We're talking about what the city needs to pay. So we have to have places for people to sleep. Who pays for that?
So we do have a provider. An organization was selected through the RFP process. That's the Guardians Foundation, and they have already been on a property looking at the facility in terms of where things would be set up and working with the contractor to see various things that would be needed to meet their needs that are included within the tenant improvements that are being undertaken now. So the Guardians is taking that on. Our chief financial officer is here to answer some of the details about the finances more specifically. However, we do have funding to pay for operations, as I understand it, through the end of 2023.
I guess that would be helpful because we're getting that one piece that is the cost of the lease, but there are going to be all these other costs. It'd be nice to aggregate those so that we know exactly what we're paying for and how much.
And on Monday, July 11, our intent, as we did with this lease when we came to public safety in June, is to be before public safety and community health with a shelter operator agreement, similar to what you're considering on Trent today, with an agreement for wraparound services. That would include the various funds, where those funds are identified, which I believe the chief financial officer has presented to the council previously, but also what those costs would look like over the next 18 months to get us through 2023.
Thank you.
I had another legal question from someone there. So a former city council president who's also a lawyer texted me and said, hey, we can't do tenant improvements on a lease. And I don't know if we can or not, that somehow that would be public gifting. And I'm just wondering if someone could walk us through that. So.
The question is whether or not we can make improvements to the building?
Whether we can pay for tenant improvements, significant tenant improvements to a building that we don't own. That's the question. Or is that gifting the landowner all the benefits of that?
I would think that's just part of the consideration and the cost of our operation at that location. I don't see an issue there.
Councilmember Stratton.
So I'm going off on that, but the city, we're going to be putting the work into resurfacing and striping the parking lot and all of that. So is that an improvement? Mm-hmm. And we're responsible for that?
It's my understanding that we're responsible for maintaining the parking lot and maybe renewing the striping and so forth.
So they just restriped and just redid both the parking lot in front and the asphalt area inside the property. That was just recently done within the last 30 days.
Did the city do that or did the?
The owner did that
Okay,
at his cost.
okay.
Councilmember Wilkerson.
So I'll just have to piggyback Councilmember Kinnear, and thank you for the additional information update on the negotiations. I think those are great. I have consistently asked, and I hope to have it on the 11th, really the total package of this, because now I'm hearing about not only the provider, but bathrooms and plumbing, because I've been through the building, and all those other costs that seems to be piling on that we really don't have a number assigned to yet. And I know Ms. Wallace probably has a bucket of money that can come from, but I think we're just challenged. This is just so fluid that we just can't seem to get our hands around it to move forward. Now, the building is a building, but everything else, we're dealing with people, and that's a little challenging.
And we are in the middle of negotiating the operating agreement with the Guardians in terms of what those costs will be based on the services that will be provided, as well as the organization that will be supporting us with the services that will be there too. So those discussions are taking place right now.
Thank you. I just one question, and not to with the lease. I thought we had broken up the RFP for providers because we realized one provider couldn't do everything. So one was going to actually do the overnight residential piece, and one was going to do services. But in the end, it all ended up with the Guardians.
So the Guardians is doing the operations
Day to day.
day to day. And we are working with the Salvation Army to do the services that will be provided in conjunction with the operations.
Thank you.
Councilmember Cathcart.
Yeah, so will that be a joint operating agreement of some kind that we'll vote on at once, or will those be two separate agreements that we will vote separately on?
I'm going to bring forward agreement or agreements. I'll defer to my city attorney on that, but the plan is to have either directly to your comment, Councilmember Cathcart, either one operating agreement for both or separate agreements for both as it relates to the operation and the services. We're still working through those with the city attorney's office right now.
With regards to at least one of the vendors, I mean, a good neighbor agreement's an important aspect of something that we're working on, and that needs to be something considered by anybody who would be an operator. So.
There will be a requirement for a good neighbor agreement as part of this discussion that we bring before you. Both providers will be required to execute a good neighbor agreement, whatever that looks like as we sort through that. But they will be required to be a party to that signing.
And best guess, when will this be open, if things go as expected from here on out?
I'd love to say August 1st. That's the goal, but things are fluid in the construction industry in terms of materials and subcontractors. The good news is the owner has already started some of the tenant improvements now, so we kind of got a little bit of a jump start, we're hoping, to that. But August 1 is the date we're trying to get to.
Councilmember Stratton.
Just for the record, because some of us have been working together on a good neighbor agreement, just for the record, we have been told the last time around that the Salvation Army does not sign good neighbor agreements. So I just want to make that public, and I want to make sure that's in the record, because we were told that more than once, and that's a big concern.
Good neighbor agreement's going to be required by anyone who's providing services on the property. And I've heard that same thing, Councilmember Stratton. We're going to be working with the Salvation Army to address whatever concerns they may have with that type of agreement.
I think we know that there are concerns because we went through it with the Way Out shelter.
We did. Yes, ma'am.
So just to be aware of that.
Councilmember Kinnear.
So would a good neighbor agreement be required by person providing the services or the provider that's managing the day-to-day?
It would be by the organization who's doing the day-to-day, and I think we'd like to see the organization that's doing the case management for the services, both.
So both need to?
Both.
Okay.
So in this case, both the Guardians and the Salvation Army. That's going to be our expectation as we start to have these discussions. It's very important to us to show good faith with the community and the neighborhood, that there are very specific rules and guidelines that the providers who are providing the service are going to need to abide by.
Councilmember Binkle.
Yeah, I just want to thank you, Johnny and Eric Finch and Tanya and everybody who's been involved in this. I mean, this has been a really long process. I think the negotiations, if this were a strictly business deal, somebody would come away wondering who we were negotiating with and how we got such a good deal. And so I appreciate everything that's happened. I also want to shout out, I think a lot of people, we've criticized a lot in the community for why aren't they stepping up, why aren't they doing more, and it feels as if from the building owner to outside public entities or private entities that are stepping up to help pay for tenant improvements and those kinds of things. I think it shows a lot of care on their part for the community that they're willing to negotiate in a way that is really detrimental to themselves to see this project go forward so that we can help folks who need help. So I thank you, Mr. Finch. And I think it's going to be great as Mr. Hall steps into his position that he will be coming into something that's been worked on so much by you.
Thank you, Councilmember Bingham. I want to, the mayor's really set out a vision and a tone here in our homeless plan 2.0, and we've taken that to execute it as part of this process. We've got a long ways to go on many other projects as it relates to this topic. We certainly know that, but this is a great step in the right direction, and it's been a terrific public-private partnership with various private entities in our city working with us and the property owner, Mr. Stone. And lastly, I want to thank you, council members. Thank you for your confidence, trust, and faith in us to bring this back to you, give us the opportunity to present, and for your consideration in moving this forward.
Can I just have one more question, then I'll shut up, I promise. And it's legal. I'm just curious, why can't the city challenge the tax assessment?
I've been working on that. There's an exemption under state law that comes really close, but it only applies if the nonprofit that's operating the building owns the building or is the lessee.
So it's got to be a nonprofit.
Yeah, if the city was a nonprofit, I think we are, but checked with Department of Revenue and also the county, and they both disagreed with me, so. Yeah.
Thanks.
I have another legal question for James. On the tenant's option to purchase the premises, looks like if we want to do it, we give notice and we choose a mutually agreeable independent appraiser that comes up with a price. But it's not clear to me in the language that we get to use that price. It just says after we get it, then we negotiate. So I'm just wondering, what's our remedy if we do that, get the appraisal, we want to buy it, and the landlord says, no, I need another 500 or 600,000.
Well, that was an option agreement that was proposed by the landlord, and there wasn't any room for negotiation on that term as I understood it. I would have written that differently. I think it would be much more helpful to have an agreed upon price or an agreed upon process where we're bound by the price at the end of the process.
So does that mean it's somewhat illusory that they can sell it to us for whatever price they want, but even if an appraiser says it's lower, we can't make them sell it to us for the independently appraised price?
In speaking with the owner about this exhibit and the potential for the city to purchase, they are willing to work with us on that and do so in a manner that would not be overly intrusive in terms of what price we would pay. So I believe they would work with us if there was a market rate that was lower than what they think. I think they would I truly believe, based on the negotiations we've had these months, that they would be willing to sit down and have that conversation with us in very good faith.
But it sounds like they weren't willing to put that language in the contract.
A lot of the exhibits and the contract is a standard part of their commercial agreements. And while multiple occasions we were able to get a little more than they were willing to give, some areas we decided to just back off a little to move this forward in front of you.
All right, well, it doesn't seem, I mean, it says option to purchase, but it's not enforceable, so it might as well not be there I hope they would be, but I'm not sure why we have it if it's not enforceable.
And that's our presentation.
Councilmember Zepone.
Yeah, thanks. To add on to that, if we go to potentially purchase it within 6 months, the tenant improvements will have already been done. So that would be in the cost of the appraisal that we would later purchase it for. Is that correct?
The process envisions an appraisal of the property, fair market value as of the time of the purchase, so that would include any improvements that have been made. Whether or not those increase the value of the building, the appraiser would decide.
Likely.
It may, yeah.
Yeah, so then ultimately we could be paying for those improvements.
Right.
And then did we have any estimate of the cost of or any ballpark idea of the phase 2 improvements, what that would cost?
I'll probably speak for Mr. Finch. He may be able to direct this. I don't think, Eric, we have a ballpark estimate on the Phase 2 cost yet?
No, I do not have a total. I mean, most of the focus has really been on the restroom improvements, which I think are in the around the $250,000 range.
Oh, it's a ballpark, another $250,000. So that's a benefit that the landlord would eventually get if they were to resell it, likely future.
Correct.
From the city.
Yes, sir.
Paying for that. And then I just had a question. Is it normal for tenants to maintain the maintenance and repairs of buildings like that?
This is a fairly typical industrial or commercial triple net lease where the tenant is responsible basically for all the costs of owning and operating the building during the term of the lease.
So should we budget for that too? Because I've been told the city's really bad at managing buildings. And so when we're looking at this price tag, we should probably be budgeting for some more maintenance costs.
And we will be doing that.
Good. Another reason why maybe it'd be better just to own it, I guess, if we're going to already maintain it.
All right.
And that ends the advanced briefing too, sir.
You're well, yeah.
Maybe not. Anyway.
No, you're on the advanced briefing. I think we're.
Okay.
I think all the other ones we have briefed before.
Council President, quick question.
Yeah.
Can you remind us what the cost was for the operator? Was that around $1 million?
Mr. Finch, I don't believe we have that final amount because we're in the middle of negotiations right now. So I'm not even going to turn to Mr. Finch because I would hate to give something that, I want to come back on July 11 with that pretty close to what I did here when I came before you in June at Public Safety and Community Health and had a pretty good number of where we were after negotiations.
All right, you're released.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. All right. So there's several other things to circle back to on the agenda, but first I'm going to look for a motion to suspend the rules for purposes of adjusting the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed, nay? Abstentions? All right. Rules are suspended, and I'm just going through sequentially by pages and looking here. So the first one I see is item 9 on the consent agenda, and there's a request for a motion to accept the revised version of number 9. So it's just a new version of the contract.
You want a motion?
So moved.
So
Second.
moved? Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? All right. That's substituted. All right. Next, I'm looking for, on page 8, a motion to add to tonight's agenda, consent agenda, items 18A through E.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? All right, that is added. All right, next is ordinance 36193, and my understanding is there's going to be a motion to defer and a motion to amend potentially. I'm just going to start with the motion to defer because that makes procedurally more sense to me before we get to the substance, but
So I'd like a motion to defer for 2 weeks. I've spoken with Major McNabb and Assistant Chief, and they agreed that would be advisable. So 2 weeks is
July 11th.
July.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? All right. All right. Let's see. All right. I'm on page 11 at the top, the resolution to appoint Mr. John Hall. And we need a motion to add that to our agenda this evening.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? All right. That's added. Okay. Then this is only on for first reading tonight, but I'm at the same page 11, ordinance 36223. Again, I understand Councilmember Kinnear might have a motion to defer to the 11th, and Councilmember Cathcart might have a motion to amend it, but I'm going to start with the motion to defer, if you want.
I'd like to make a motion to defer to the 11th after I spoke with somebody who actually uses the system, and I found out that we need further discussion to perhaps get it where it's more user-friendly. In addition to the fees, there are other issues that need to be straightened out with the parking piece. So I'd like to defer to the 11th.
Second.
Okay. Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Well, any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? All right, that's deferred to July 11th. And then, Councilmember Cathcart, do you want to make your amendment now, or do you want to wait for that discussion and just do them all at once?
On 223?
Yeah.
We'll wait and
Okay.
have that conversation.
Great. Thank you. All right. Okay, I'm on page 12, under hearing 2 for ordinance C36224. There's been a motion to accept a substitute version of this ordinance related to the short plats. So maybe let's start with that motion, and then I understand there might be further amendments to it, but I'm not sure. Or is this the amendment?
No, I had an amendment.
Okay.
But I'm not aware of the other.
I think staff had the substitute version.
Is Spencer here? Yeah.
All right, they're coming up. So before I ask for a motion, maybe you can give us a quick update on, I think, the substitute version that you offered. That's what this substitute that's here on the
So
agenda.
for C36224, that's for the short plat notification. We received a late comment from a different internal department that requested we add some additional language for the minor engineering criteria, which would say if a utility existed on their property, they would not be subject to minor engineering review. So we substituted that and sent it on the 13th.
Right.
And then there were questions about C36225, which was for ADUs, I believe.
And what did you, so
Can we just do one first?
sticking 224 for a moment, I couldn't quite tell from the description if more things were included in the engineering exception or fewer things.
We added one additional criteria. So if a utility existed on the site,
Yeah.
you would not be subject to minor engineering review. You would not qualify for a minor
Okay.
engineering review.
And what does that mean, a utility on the site?
So if there was a utility, trying to think like not a transfer station, but if you had a pump station on site.
Okay, okay. So this would make it slightly more difficult to get the minor engineering exception to avoid the notice if you had a utility facility on your site.
Correct.
Okay, so that's what you did. Councilmember Cathcart.
A pump station? You mean like a water pump station?
Yes.
Are there private properties that have pump stations on them?
I am not aware of any parcels, but that was requested from one of our city
But that's
departments.
the only narrow area where that would apply is a pump station.
No.
Oh,
It's really just to capture, and I think for the most part, just having, there was already language there about having a public easement. So this is just an extra layer of assurance that if there's some legacy piece of infrastructure that for whatever reason, there's questions about an easement or, this is probably more related to the fee than it is to the noticing aspect of the minor engineering review, and that is if there's some piece of infrastructure on site that we need to have that additional layer of engineering review, we wanted to make sure that the fees we were charging were at the standard level because that's going to require some additional
so is this,
review on our
even
part.
if there is, you don't have to do anything with the utility that's on site? It's not anything that has to be messed with? You still would have to require a major review?
Correct, because we wouldn't know whether something needs to be done without the engineers reviewing it.
Okay.
All right. So that's the 224 request from staff. So is there a motion to accept that substitute version that incorporates that, and then we'll get to any other things?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Sorry,
Yes.
quick discussion, because there were, I think, multiple substitute versions. Which substitute version are we accepting?
This is the substitute version that Amanda sent out.
Okay.
Not the other ones, okay. Great question. All those in favor of their substitute version indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay?
Nay.
One nay. Any abstentions? Okay, so that passes 6-1 as far as that substitute version. Now, any other requested amendments?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, Councilmember.
So I'm proposing an amendment to reinstate posting of signage for standard short plats per neighborhood council requests.
Is there language around that yet? Or not?
That's what it is. Amendment to reinstate posting of signage for standard short plats, and I've submitted the diagram right there.
Actual
Yep.
language? Councilmember Cathcart.
So I guess when you say a standard short plat, what are we talking about?
Spencer, do you want to go through the different?
You're talking about the standard engineering review.
Yes.
So this is a parcel that does not qualify for minor engineering review already. So it's given the standard engineering review. The proposal that came out of Plan Commission would only require the mailed notice. There wouldn't be the requirement for site posting for the signs. And your amendment, the intent behind your amendment is to reinstate the requirement for the on-site signage. Is that characterizing the?
Correct.
Okay.
But not for the, typical lot dividing into two, because that qualifies for the minor engineering review.
Yeah, it would not modify the minor engineering review part. It's only for the ones that are standard engineering review.
Councilmember Cathcart.
Well, I guess I would support some sort of a friendly amendment that says that the city would post the signage and pay for it. But I really just don't want to put that on a ma and pa developer trying to get, some little site built and add more cost to them. So my concern is that, but if the city can put the board up, then I think that makes all the sense in the world.
So you need a second?
First, we need a second.
Okay, I will second that.
Okay.
And the reason is that I feel that, I understand your feelings there, but I also, we've talked to several neighborhood councils that are very fearful that that information is not going to get out there, and they can't take on any more to get information out to their neighborhoods. And so I think it's putting a lot on neighborhood councils to have to get that message out there, to rely on them to do that. I think that's expecting a lot. We all know that neighborhood services is short-staffed. I don't think they get the support needed sometimes from Office of Neighborhood Services. That's not saying that's bad. It's saying that we just don't have enough people. But I sense that there's a great deal of stress with neighborhood councils, just in my district that I've talked to regarding this.
Councilmember Wilkerson.
I was really on the fence about this, but I heard from neighbors too. Whatever would make it consistent throughout the city in all neighborhoods to have notification is what I'd be looking for. And Councilmember Stratton's right. Half of them don't meet. The membership fluctuates. Who participates, who gets it. And then my challenge was, well, there's a small group, but what if you're not part of the neighborhood council? So the signage is just for consistency across the city. Now, is the city going to pay for it? Was that your friendly amendment, Councilmember Cathcart? We haven't had a financial review of that at this point in time, so I have no idea what we're looking at. But I would support the signage.
Councilmember Cathcart.
Well, I think it'd be helpful, Spencer, if you could reiterate again what exactly people have the ability to change with the notification. And I think that would be really helpful for folks to understand what is it that can be changed once they get the notification and they provide comment.
I guess I'll make a few comments about that. The first is I do want to share there is actually a platform through the city's website to receive notice for permitting actions beyond just short plats. And so there are opportunities for people to receive that information. Not to, I just want to make sure that that's clear. We try to talk about that with the neighbors and make sure they know that there is an avenue for them to be notified. As far as what kind of action they can impact, I guess the other comment I'll add is I think some of the concerns from the part of the neighborhood is not so much their ability to impact as it is just wanting to know what's going on. But when it comes to the impact, the kinds of questions that we can consider in approving or denying a short plat application are pretty clearly spelled out, and they tend to be covered by our code already. So, for example, are you meeting the density requirements of the underlying zone? If you're meeting the lot size requirements, then you would be meeting the density requirements, and so that's already handled. Is the type of, is the action conforming to our other development standards, the depth of the lots, or the provision for fire access, those kinds of things are all covered by our code. So in a typical development process, the applicant has been working with our planners in the Development Services Center before they actually submit their permit to make sure that every one of those criteria is already met. In other words, we've done the homework with them so that there is nothing else for us to ultimately, there is no grounds for us to then deny their application. So I guess that's a long way of saying I'm not familiar with any cases in recent history. It would be extremely rare for a comment that comes in from a neighbor or somebody in the neighborhood that would actually result in a denial of an application for one of these.
Well, I think that's really helpful to understand. I mean, I guess in your mind then, do we make it clear enough to folks that their public comment is not really going to have an effect on the outcome?
I mean, I think we can find ways to try to improve communication on that.
Because my other concern is that we're essentially putting out a false promise.
Right.
We sort of allude to this idea that, well, you can change this project by providing your public comment. We're going to delay this a month because we want to hear from you, but in fact, that project's going to have absolutely nothing to do with any comment that you make. And do we make that clear enough, do you think?
But I'm not so sure that's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing just the fact that they don't want to be responsible for having to at least let the neighborhood know what's going on. I mean, not that, I never had one person say that how do we set up comments back from the neighborhood to the planning folks. Right. What I've heard is just, it's that information, this is what's happening. So they're not responsible. Am I missing something?
No,
Yeah.
Well,
So they're not responsible for saying, by the way, like Wistock's Way,
Right.
when we put that sign up, we had lots of calls from people, one way or the other, but, thanking us for the sign, letting us know what was going on. That's what that was.
And I think that's the big difference, is there's a difference between notification and the comment period, because the comment period delays the project quite considerably. So it goes beyond just notifying to the
Right.
point of delay to provide that comment, which we're not changing the project based on that comment. So it's a false promise in the end. And that's my concern.
So is there a way to do like a notification with no public comment required? Or
Well, let me add on to the question. The concern that I had was, and I think as we learn more about this, zeroing in on the concern is, on the minor engineering review, yeah, we're not doing the sign, but on the one that's a regular engineering review, there are engineering kind of questions and concerns, not land use questions about, but, can that infrastructure handle it? Is there a wetland right there or something like that? So I'm wondering, would the notice impact that? So what happens when the city does an engineering review, which is different than the land use fixed rules, but more situational? Can we condition short plats on dealing with the engineering issues? I guess that's the question.
So that happens currently. If there is an issue that we identify that requires some kind of condition on the approval, then yes, we're already doing that.
Because what the neighbors were saying is they might know things that our city engineer is not going to know because they're not on the property. And so they want the notice so that they can say, hey, did you realize that that thing floods every other year? You might
Yeah.
not know that. So.
Yeah, and I mean, yes, our engineers do that kind of work. And I don't, without being an engineer myself and working in that world, I don't know how often, if it ever happens, that somebody raises something that they aren't already aware of. We generally have data sets that indicate, what meets the level of, something that needs to be mitigated in the development process.
Councilmember Wilkerson.
So we were going to give the information to the neighborhood council, and they were going to disseminate. Then we talked about we could just do a mailing to the whole area that's impacted by this development. Was that not part of the conversation too?
So under the standard engineering, the mailing is already part of, that is included in the Plan Commission proposal. So the mailing period is already part of the package that you are considering. The amendment from Councilmember Kinnear would be to add back the signage element of that as well.
And the mailing goes to every,
Property owners within 400 feet.
Yeah, it's not everybody.
My other question, just kind of procedurally, is I understand the gist of Councilmember Kinnear's amendment, but is there specific language that you have that would make that happen? Because I feel like if we amend it, we might have to wait till 6 o'clock to do it, but we need to actually have the language to do it.
So the amendment that is proposed, she requested the language that we used in Plan Commission as we looked at some, well, let's see. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. We're talking about use there. No, the amendment is a simple one-word change that she asked me about, and so I pointed to where that word would need to be inserted.
And where would that be inserted?
So that would be in, if you look in the ordinance language under the table 17G060-3, at the, about midway through the table, short plat with SEPA exemption and standard engineering review. The second column over says individual. So the amendment proposed by Councilmember Kinnear would be to add posted/individual there, because the posted is what requires the signage.
All right, and I see that that was emailed to all of us. I just was not clear. I'm clear now, so thank you for indulging me on that.
Council President, just another comment. So I'm back to the development. So we post a sign, mail the cards. I'm trying to get back to the timeline. That's another month that we have to wait for public comment, which we want neighbors to be notified. But realistically, it probably won't change anything with the project, but it does cost the developer potential monies because now their project's delayed another 30 days, or 15. Help me walk them back through that.
Yeah, so I think there's some confusion between the short plat with minor engineering review and then the standard engineering review. We're only talking about the standard engineering review, and the proposal forwarded from Plan Commission would already add that 30-day period because they're having to do the mailing. So that 30-day period is already part of a standard engineering review. So the only substantial change is that is from the amendment from Councilmember Kinnear is that they would also have to post the signage. The signage does cost money. We just completed some comprehensive plan amendments during which we had to post signage, and it was $700 a sign to do that. So there's a cost there, but it actually would not impact the timeline because that mailed notice is already part of Plan Commission's proposal. So the amendment would not impact that part of things.
and it wouldn't slow things down.
No, because the mailed notice
for this
already
is for
kicks
the-
off that 30-day period.
Okay.
And again, that's only for those standard
The standard
engineering
one.
review.
If you're,
Councilmember
if
Kinnear.
you're building a $500,000 house, $700,000 house, $750 isn't going to break you. And
That's an assumption.
yes, I'm assuming that it won't. If it does, then you have other problems. But neighborhood notification, making sure that we're communicating with our neighborhoods, and not in one way, not you have to go to a website or you get something in the mail, but a sign speaks to everybody that's going to be driving by. So that was my reasoning for putting that forward.
Well, it's taken a little while to drill down, but if I understand it, this is only for the standard engineering, not the minor. And it adds the cost of a sign, but it does not delay it. And I think
That's
that was
correct.
confused before, so.
Is there a threshold? Is it for all short plats, or is there a threshold that it would apply? So like 4 or 5 above, or is it all?
Standard.
So it's all, okay.
Yeah, the amendment as written is all.
All right. So that's the amendment before us. Any further discussion? And the word is just adding the word posted in the table and that second column.
That's
All right.
correct.
All those in favor indicate. by
Council
saying-
President?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Can I amend the amendment?
You can propose an amendment to the amendment, yes.
So I would propose an amendment to the amendment that this would begin at 5. So 5 through 9 would be the threshold for when a sign would be required.
Oh, 5
Units.
flats, 5
Yeah.
units.
Yeah.
Of 9.
And just to clarify, we wouldn't know the number of units, it would be the number of lots.
Yeah.
So,
Correct.
Yeah, so it'd start at 5 lots.
So 5 lots is what that language needs to
yeah,
be?
five parcels.
So does that language need to be 5 parcels then? 5 parcels?
Well, I mean, parcels or lots are kind of used interchangeably, but
But we do have to be precise, so.
Right,
So
right.
parentheses, 5 parcels, end parentheses after the word posted in the amendment.
In the interest of moving this forward, compromise is always good. We don't often do that, so thank you for that. I would accept the amendment.
Okay. And who was your second?
We didn't even have a second.
I guess I was.
Yeah.
Do you accept
yeah.
the second?
We were in the discussion. Yeah, you did.
Okay.
You seconded, yeah.
All right. Okay, so the amendment is a friendly amendment, it's accepted, that's now before us.
Sure, it's friendly, but that's okay.
And we
I
need a moment of
second that
silence
amendment.
Amend it with
for
full friendliness.
Yeah,
operation.
yeah.
Second that amendment.
No, I guess yes.
Yes.
Councilmember Bingle, you want to get in on action?
I haven't said anything the whole time. I just.
Okay. All right, so that's the second to the,
5
well,
to-
it was, yeah, I don't know, it was a friendly amendment, so it might not need a second. But anyway, it's been adopted. Actually, it doesn't need the second, because it's a friendly amendment, and the proposer and seconder of the first amendment. All right, so the amendment before us now is adding the word posted and then parentheses for 5 parcels or more, end of parentheses. Is that okay? All right, all those in favor? indicate
Just a
by-
second.
Yeah.
Amanda's frowning. Is there
Yes.
something with that? Or are we good?
No, that language is fine. I was just trying to think of the most simple and easy way to update the table to reflect Councilmember Cathcart's amendment.
And let's vote on it, and if you come up with some language between now and our meeting, you can propose that, and that's fine.
okay.
Oh,
Okay. Thank you for catching that, Brown. All right. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? All right. That's what we're voting on, and until we get an approved version, we can amend that
Okay.
tonight. All right, that was 224. Now we're at 225, accessory dwelling units.
here we go again.
And is there a motion from anybody on that? I've lost track.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
It's me again.
Councilmember Kinnear.
I'm proposing an amendment to reinstate an owner occupancy requirement for a 3-year period for all ADUs.
Okay. Is there a second? All right. I don't hear a second.
Nope.
We don't have to get to the precise language. So,
We
but you
don't.
made your point, so that's awesome. Okay. Any other?
Councilmember,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Council President, The substitute version, I wanted to clarify.
Oh, we didn't do the substitute version yet, so.
Oh, you're getting to that. I'm sorry.
I wasn't, but we are now.
Okay.
So yes, why don't you explain the proposed substitute version?
So the proposal that came out of Plan Commission, after it was forwarded from Plan Commission, we discovered a minor wording change that we felt like would clarify. And so that is, where's my notes? That is in the table.
Page 8 of the substituted ordinance.
Yeah. Page 8 of the substituted ordinance, and this would be Table 17C 110-3. And the change under accessory structures, it's a change of one word. We have maximum coverage with accessory dwelling unit lots less than 5,500 square feet. That was the language that came out of Plan Commission. We added the word detached, so it now reads maximum coverage with detached accessory dwelling unit. We wanted to make clear that that was intended for a detached accessory unit, not for, because there's also internal accessory dwelling units. So that was the clerical change from the version that came from Plan Commission. There were some additional changes on the part of the sponsors that did not come from the Planning Department or from Plan Commission. And I don't know.
Are they in this version?
They are in the version that's in here that is proposed to be substituted.
Can you
And
summarize
I don't
what
know
those
if, I can summarize them, or
You
if,
probably do it best.
Yeah, why don't you summarize them? and then
okay,
we'll-
I just wanted to be clear, that was not coming from the Planning
Okay.
Department, that was from the sponsors. So the three changes, and I can share the numbers. This is 17C 300 110. If you look at subsection A, point 2, point B, let's see. Yeah, I guess that's how you'd refer to that. And I need to turn to it in here. Page 6, you said 60? Okay. That change is, sorry, I'm trying to turn to it. It's highlighted in your, in the version that you have. That is a change to the size. Am I getting close here? Sorry, there's a lot of pages here. There we go. That is a proposed change to the size to increase from 864 to 975. So that's the first change. There are 3 total. The second, or I guess there are 4, but 2 of them are related. So the second and third changes are on the next page, 17C 300 130, under subsection A1, and then C and E are both related changes. Under subsection C, that would be including the term duplex. And again, that's highlighted, so you can see that. And then under E, it adds RSF, the RSF zone, to the list of zones where that is impacted. So that change would be under the Plan Commission proposal, if you live in a structure that was built as an ADU, and then the zoning was changed to single-family zoning so that duplex is not a conforming use but was built legally. Under the Plan Commission proposal, you would not be allowed to build an ADU. This change would allow you to build an ADU even if your structure is a duplex in a single-family zone. So that's the second and third change. Those are related.
Spencer?
Yes.
So you said that you live in what was a duplex, right? It's been unduplexed.
No, it is. It is a duplex currently.
Oh, it is. So it's acting as a duplex now?
So you're talking about my example change?
Yeah.
Yes, there are many places where a duplex was built before the zoning changed, and then it is still operating as a duplex, and we call that a legal non-conforming use. It was built when it was legal. If it burned down, we wouldn't be able to build it back to what it is currently.
So, but is the law regulating the use at the time? So by that I mean if you had if something was built as a duplex, but today it's just acting as a single-family home, Is it treated, would it be treated as a duplex or treated as a single-family home under the law?
No, if it's operating as a single-family home, it's not a duplex,
Okay.
so it would be treated as a single-family home. The third change is a couple of pages along, Table 17C 300-1. I think this is the last, it's not quite the last, but it's towards the end of the proposals. And 17C 300-1, which deals with maximum roof and wall height. So the change here would be to bring the wall and roof height for a detached accessory dwelling unit to the same level, whether it's over a garage or not. So the table currently differentiates, and this change would bring them into alignment so that whether you build it over a garage or whether you use that first floor as more living space, the code does not differentiate between the two.
It's just the same, there's just a
It
maximum.
gets the same height no matter what.
Okay.
Councilmember Kinnear.
So I'm wondering why those weren't brought forward separately rather than all together, because I can agree with two of them, but the third one, and that means the whole, I won't be supporting the whole thing, which I'd rather not do. So if you introduce them one at a time, it would be more palatable.
Can we
That's
take
why I'm
them
wondering if
separately?
there was a method to your madness.
So, okay. Anyway, this is proposed as a substitute version, so we're first understanding that, but then we'll get to your point.
Okay.
Okay. And then, was there one more, did you say?
Nope, that covers all
Okay.
of the
There were
All right.
three.
changes.
So there were 3 by council members and 1 by staff, essentially.
Correct.
So that's, the motion is, well, I'm looking for a motion to substitute.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. And now, you have a request to
To bring them.
do one separately than the others?
Bring each one as amendments separately, rather than do them all the three at one.
Do you have issues with
Yes.
only one of them or all of
Yes,
them?
only one,
Which is which?
the size.
Okay. Can we just bring a motion to amend then to,
Yes.
Then that would be the
But we already
considering
have something on the floor.
it is on the floor. So your motion would be to amend this, oh, what? So wait, just wait. Yeah, well, you're right. I did.
Yes.
We'll have a vote on the discussion and any vote on the substitution, and then you can move to amend.
All right.
Any further discussion on the motion to substitute? Okay. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Any abstentions? Okay, so that is the new version. It's in front of us. Do you have a motion?
I would like I would like to consider going back to the original proposal that the Plan Commission put forward, which was the size be 864?
864.
Yes,
Okay.
but I would need a second.
Well, I'll do a second for discussion, but, because I have a question.
Okay. Motion and second. Question?
So how did the higher number come up, the
Yeah, it came up
900?
from the discussion at Plan Commission. They were deciding between 864 and 1200 was the two proposals that they looked at, and it was almost a split vote. So this was something that was more in the middle between the two. They never considered a middle option at Plan Commission.
Which is great. I will tell you, 975 feet is it's a house. It's not an ADU. So that was my objection.
Councilmember Wilkerson.
So we can build up to, but that doesn't mean they're all going to go. This just gives somebody the flexibility to build that extra 80 square feet of space.
Councilmember Cathcart.
Yeah, I mean, I actually preferred the language in the version, the original ADU version from about 2 years ago that talked about basically just being 90% of the primary. I think that a percentage of actually makes more sense than square footage, but I do definitely support the larger.
Councilmember Bingle.
The reason why that particular language might be difficult is I know a particular person who lives in a dwelling where their house is just over 500 square feet, and so an ADU that's 90% of that is not much at all. And so I think the language is good. The 975, I'd be for pushing it to the 1200 number that it was, but Yeah, because, and like Councilwoman Wilkerson said, it's up to 975. That doesn't mean they're all going to be 975. And realistically, the difference between 864 and 975, those are both small houses. They're both small houses. Yeah.
Councilmember Zepon.
And looking at it, it's still 75% of the floor area of the principal structure or 975, whichever is greater. Yeah. So still that if it's a bigger house.
Amanda?
Thank you, Councilmember Wilkerson. The 75% and the 864, to highlight what Councilmember Bingle said, is correct. If you have a small home, that's why we have both in there. We wanted to make sure if you are in a small home, you're not limited in the size. So the 864 or 975 would kind of act as a peg, which could then be further controlled by the building coverage and also your floor area ratio. So that may not be the ultimate number that you can get, depending on the size of your existing home or your lot.
Other commentary? All right, so the motion is to restore the language to 864.
Yes.
Is that right?
I think I'll be the only yes
Okay,
vote.
that's all right. All those in favor of that amendment indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, all those opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Any abstentions? Okay, amendment does not pass. All right, so we now have that version. I don't think there's any other changes that anyone's looking for. Then I'm looking for a motion to adopt tonight's agenda.
So moved.
As modified. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay? Okay, so challenge though, we have an executive session. You think we can get done in 25 minutes?
What? We're hungry.
We could get 30.
Let's do it in 25. Yeah, let's do it in 25. We're going in executive session to discuss labor negotiations and litigation, and we'll be back out by 5:30 by my watch, unless we're going to extend, and I'll announce that. We don't anticipate any further business. So let's adjourn to Council Lounge as soon as possible and get this done.
City Council is extending executive session for 10 minutes until 5:40 p.m. No further action is expected when they return.
All right, we've completed our executive, oh. All right, we've completed our executive session. We're not taking any further action. We are adjourned. We'll be back at 6 p.m.